Have you ever felt like getting business funding is like trying to find your way through a maze, completely in the dark? You know you've got a great business, but it feels like every door you knock on is locked. Well, if that sounds familiar, we're about to flip the lights on. Let's break down the real, strategic path to getting funded. So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to talk about the funding maze itself. Then we'll get into why just randomly applying everywhere is such a bad idea. After that, we'll debunk the whole one-size-fits-all myth, lay out a much smarter strategic approach, and wrap up by talking about how to find the right guide for your journey. All right, first up, the funding maze. You know the feeling, right? It's that classic entrepreneur problem. You feel like you're surrounded by opportunities, a million different lenders, 1,000 different doors, but there are absolutely no signs telling you which one is actually the right one for your business. So let's just ask the big question right out of the gate. Why on earth does this process feel so confusing? You know your business is solid, maybe you even have great revenue coming in, but getting a yes from a lender feels like winning the lottery. It's a super common feeling, but the reason behind it, it's actually pretty simple. And here it is. This is the absolute core of the problem. See, every single lender out there wants the exact same thing. Stability. They want to know you're a safe bet. But, and this is the part that trips everyone up, they don't all measure stability the same way. A big national bank sees it through one lens, an online lender sees it through a completely different one. They're all playing the same game but with different rulebooks. And that is why it feels so confusing. And this difference in how lenders see the world, well, it leads us directly to our next point, why random attempts just don't work. This is what happens when you try that scattergun approach, just applying everywhere and hoping something sticks. It's not just a waste of time, it can actually hurt you. Look, this isn't just about getting at no. There are real costs to guessing. Every one of those applications can put a hard inquiry on your credit, and too many of those will drag your score down. Then you get rejected, but with no clear reason why, so you can't even fix the problem. It becomes this downward spiral that makes you look even riskier to the next lender you talk to. It's a huge reminder. A lot of the time, it's not the business that's failing, it's the approach. This brings us to a massive aha moment for so many business owners. Section 3, one size doesn't fit. The idea that there's just one best way to get funding for everyone is totally, completely wrong. And once you get that, everything changes. Just think about it for a second. Let's say you're a brand new startup, but your founder has amazing personal credit. That's your biggest asset. You need a completely different game plan than, say, an established company that's been around for 2 years with rock-solid revenue. Their strengths are different, so the lenders they should be talking to are different. It's the same for a business that's rebuilding its credit or one that's gearing up for a huge expansion. Every situation needs its own tailored strategy. So, the real key, the thing that separates success from failure, isn't just applying everywhere. It is all about alignment. It's about taking a good hard look at your business's profile right now, your strengths, your weaknesses, the whole picture, and then strategically matching it to the lender who actually values what you bring to the table. Okay, so we've spent some time diagnosing the problem. Now let's get into the solution. Section 4, the strategic approach. This is all about moving from guessing to knowing, from crossing your fingers to having a concrete plan. This is how you start navigating the funding world like a pro. A huge part of this is getting some expert guidance. You know, think of it like having a funding coach, someone who already knows the playbook inside and out. They understand all those unwritten rules of the funding game that most business owners never even hear about. Their whole job is to help you build a clear, step-by-step game plan instead of you just winging it. So what does that actually look like? Well, first it's a reality check, understanding what's really possible for you right now. Then it's about playing defense, making sure you avoid those costly mistakes that can set you back for months. It's also about preparation, proactively shaping your business profile so you look as attractive and fundable as possible. And critically, it's about doing things in the right order to build momentum instead of just running into one wall after another. Which brings us to our final section for today, finding your guide. Because look, having a strategy is great, but having the right partner to help you actually execute that strategy, that can make all the difference in the world. This is where we put this whole new mindset into action. I love this analogy. Think about it. You can absolutely go hiking in some unfamiliar mountains all by yourself. But a guide isn't for people who can't walk. A guide is for people who want to get to the summit efficiently without wasting a ton of time, energy, and momentum on wrong turns. It's the exact same idea here. So what should you be looking for in a real funding partner? It comes down to 3 things. First, they focus on education before they tell you to take any action.
Second, they insist on having a strategy in place before you fill out a single application. And finally, their focus is on getting you real, tangible results, not just making a bunch of empty promises.
You know, the entire goal of this whole strategic approach is to take you on a journey. It's about a transformation. You start out in that very common place of feeling not sure, right? I'm not sure what I qualify for. I'm not sure where to go. And you end up in a place of strength and confidence where you can say, I am properly positioned and I am funded. That's what this is all about.
So I'll leave you with this one final thought to really reflect on. When you think about your own funding path, is it a deliberate, thoughtful strategy, or is it really just a guess? Answering that question honestly is the first real step to getting funded the smart way.